The message came through Red Cross. Not the kind of message you ever want in the middle of a deployment. She's in a coma. I was crouched in the dust of northern Syria, rifle cradled, listening to the wind against shattered buildings when the words burned through my skull. My fiancé, my anchor in the quiet between missions, stripped from me by a gang back home. My commanding officer didn't say much. Just a folded slip of paper, my leave papers signed. His voice was calm, heavy. 72 hours. That's all I can give. Make them count. 8 men. I did the math automatically. 9 hours per man. Precision planning, like cutting angles on a map before insertion. But this wasn't war. This wasn't sanctioned. This was something darker. The desert heat pressed down on me. My hands were steady, too steady. The calm before a storm no one would see coming. Flying home felt unreal, like stepping out of camouflage into a dream that was already burning. The hospital smelled like chemicals and finality. Machines kept her alive, not hope. Her face was pale, framed by tubes and wires. I held her hand. It was cold. I told her I'd be back, but I wasn't talking about visiting hours. Details leaked out like blood from a wound. A local gang, 8 men. She had crossed them somehow, maybe refused, maybe resisted. Didn't matter. They put her down as if her life was a message to someone else. The betrayal wasn't hers, it was mine, for leaving her unguarded, for trusting that the world back home was any safer than the world I stalked with a rifle. I walked out of the hospital, every nerve screaming for action. My rage didn't show. It sat beneath the surface, sharpened, honed, disguised as control. They thought they had time. They didn't. Information is a weapon. I collected it quietly, methodically. Old contacts from the city, police reports, names whispered in corners. 8 of them, moving like shadows across her last weeks. Phones gave them away, photos tied them together. They weren't careful, because predators never are until they're hunted. I charted their patterns, bars, garages, back alleys where they thought no one was watching. But I watched, from a distance, always unseen. Delta had trained me well. Civilians never spot the ghost in the crowd. Each observation tightened the net. Their faces burned into my mind, not as men, but as targets. I didn't drink, didn't sleep, just studied, planned, refined. The city felt smaller by the hour. 8 names, 8 routines, and a clock that ticked louder with every passing second. 9 hours per man. It wasn't anger anymore. It was mathematics. The first one broke easily. Not his body, his voice. Fear has a way of speaking louder than pain. He told me what I already suspected. She hadn't been a random victim. She had been marked. Someone close had given her up. I didn't want to believe it, but when the second man cracked, the story matched. A leak. A betrayal not from strangers, but from someone inside her circle. I combed through her phone records, cross-checked messages, and there it was, her so-called friend. A woman who smiled at her bedside, posted photos with fake tears, and sold her out for a cut of drug money. The truth didn't hit like a bullet. It hit like ice. 8 men were guilty, but she was the rot at the center. I didn't storm in. I didn't shout. I knocked on her door like any other night visitor. She opened it, surprise flickering into something like guilt. She knew. I handed her the folder. Photos, transcripts, the confession I'd pried from trembling lips. She tried to speak, but the words tangled and died. I already knew, I said. My voice was calm, flat. Her face collapsed. She begged, hands trembling, excuses spilling like water from a broken glass. I listened to none of it. I turned, left the folder on her table, and walked out. That was her punishment. Not my fists, not my gun. The weight of truth pressing against her chest, every waking second, with no escape. The clock kept ticking. 72 hours cut down to nothing. The 8 men were gone. erased one by one with cold precision. But it was her betrayal that lingered. Back at the hospital, I sat beside the bed. Machines beeped in rhythm. Her chest rose and fell, shallow, uncertain. I whispered nothing. She couldn't hear me anyway. The war in Syria had rules. This war did not. I walked out as the sun rose, the city painted in pale gold. I wasn't a soldier anymore. I wasn't even a man. I was the silence that follows betrayal. And silence is final.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.